Violence and suffering fans, I am longtime independent wrestling fan Robert. Bloody Roar was a great event, and it was my very first Violence and Suffering show. It began with a four-way match, which saw the God of Drivers Everett Cross face Toasty Tom, the Meadowlands Monster, and Sean Static. Everett Cross scored a pinfall. Monster ended up chokeslamming Sean Static, and ring announcer Larry Legend declared Monster the winner for some reason. Next up was a women's match, which saw Masha Slamovic take on the Queen of the Dinosaurs, Tara Calloway. Very good match by these two ladies, which saw crutches get involved, a piece of a wall panel. I don't know where they got that from. Eventually, Calloway picked up to win over Masha Slamovic, and I'd like to see both ladies back in VXS in the future. Next up was a wild and woolly three-way match as we saw the Bulldozer Matt Tremont versus Jeff Vincent Cannonball and the Resident Psycho G Raver. And this match was very chaotic as both men went into the crowd. They did the three-way bar fight where they're sitting in chairs throwing punches at each other. And as they were doing it, I kept yelling, "Pass it on! Pass it on! Pass it on!" And then when they started, a box of light tubes was brought into play. And, man, I don't know if this show will ever be released on DVD or anywhere else, but if it ever is, watch it, folks. It was elimination rules in this one. G Raver first pinned Tremont with a senton bomb off the top rope while light tubes were laying on Tremont. And then Raver did a double knee stomp onto Cannonball, had light tubes on top of him, and Raver ended up winning the match. And it was at that point they did take a break. Well, I don't know if it was a planned intermission, but the ring had to be cleaned up. And I don't know who was operating the music, but I guess they were playing a clean-up playlist. There was that kiddie song, "Clean Up, Clean Up." Then they played "So Fresh and So Clean." I don't know if that was Outkast or someone else who performed that song back in the early 2000s. And then they played "Car Wash" from the 1970s. All we were missing was Habib from WrestlePro / Pro Wrestling Syndicate fame. Not only did they have to clean up the shards of broken light tubes, but they had to wipe up the blood on the floor. And kudos to all those men who managed to get it all done in a quick amount of time. Then the action resumes as we see Matt Travis versus Jimmy Lloyd versus everyone's favorite superhero, Montekia. Jimmy Lloyd ended up picking up the win as he defeated Montekia and Matt Travis. And then in the main event, which ended up a four-way match, we saw El Presidente Sanchez defeat Tony Deppen, Teddy Hart, and the Notorious 187 Homicide. Very good four-way matchup to end this very show. I gotta say, due to the fact that, you know what, guys, I forgot one match. Right after the women's matchup and before the bloody three-way matchup, we had a great singles matchup, and we saw the Neon Ninja Facade defeat the man you can trust, or the man of trust, Evander James, in a very good matchup. Can't believe I forgot that. Botchamania on my part, folks. Due to the fact that Ace Romero had a concussion, was unable to appear, and Jack Evans did not show up. Obviously the match with Evans and Teddy Hart was thrown out, and the match with Homicide versus Romero versus Facade was thrown out. So obviously a great way for VXS to improvise. But it's on to the personal notes. It was great seeing Orlando, Mike McNicholas, Mikey McIndro. Who else did I see there? Gail, Callie, Jason Bob 87, Armand. I haven't seen that dude in a long time. Who else did I remember seeing? Larry Legend. How can I forget about you, man? Shane Fair. Yeah. can't remember who else was at this very show, but no return date was announced yet. Violence and Suffering, I will be back in the future. I sure hope, you next show you have more matches than you ended up having, due to the fact it was an afternoon show followed by another show. I have some memorable quotes here. Can I get a review? Orlando, when he saw me before I came through the door. I'm telling you who's next, Robert Lottie. Larry Legend, when I asked who's next between matches, and I think it might have turned out to be the main event. And also, I even though the crowd wasn't too big, the crowd was very lively, and unfortunately, I didn't use my megaphone during this very event. But VXS, I wish all the best for you. I'll be back. Hopefully, we'll have more matches on your show, on your next show, and definitely VX Violence and Suffering is a keeper for me.